What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Comments from the Peanut Gallery podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Kurtz. I'm also with the MMA Plug, powered by DenverSportsBetting.com and Mile High Sports. I have the OG of OGs as far as guests here in the MMA space. We would not be here if it was not for this man right now. Thank you so much, Jordan Titoni, for coming on. I really appreciate your time, my brother.
You know, it's always a pleasure to sit down and chat with my boys, so not a problem at all.
Absolutely, man. You know, we were just talking before we started everything rolling about just how much things have kind of grown and evolved and changed. And I mean, thank you again for just being the person who made me believe that this was possible.
Well, thank you for just excuse me, pardon my French, but thank you for just pursuing your dreams and allowing me to be a part of that. You know, it's always fun to watch someone go out and live a good life, and and especially if you can be a part of that in any way, that's a real blessing.
I appreciate it, man. You know, I've we've talked about it before on here. You know, I've always looked up to you, and for so many years, and that was like a real like big brother moment through all of that. And I mean, it's been a year since we've seen you in the cage, which is a big part of why you're here today, and. I mean, I've seen a lot of growth and development out of you that I thought, man, like, I would have expected Jordan to, kind of just turn this leaf through this next year. You seem more focused, more driven than any time before. So why don't you tell us about this, first and foremost?
Yeah, I mean, I do what I love every day, and that's training MMA, and for me to lose any passion in that, that's not who I am. It's only grown every day. It grows. Every day I'm more content with the life I live and more pleased and satisfied. With the trajectory of my life. Not to say I'm getting complacent by any means, but that satisfaction just adds to the fire for me. It's like when you're doing a good job and your dad or your coach or whoever says, hey man, I see you doing a good job, that fuels me further, because I see when someone sees that and gives me that recognition, or I see it in myself and recognize that, it's just like, yes, why wouldn't I go further in? Why wouldn't I just freaking dive into the deep end? So that's just the person I am, I guess. I love just going further and further into this beast of a sport called MMA and committing every freaking ounce of myself. Whenever times get tough in this sport, I just figure out a way to give more time, more of myself to it, and it always pays off.
Definitely. So let's hit the people off with some details for your fight. What is the day? Where are you fighting? Where can they watch you at?
So September 17th, I'm fighting for CFFC 84 in Mississippi at a casino out there, the Horseshoe Casino, I believe, and it's going to be live broadcast on UFC Fight Pass that evening, which is a Thursday, the 17th, so make sure you're tuned in for that. Plan on putting on a show for everybody.
I can't wait to see it, man. I had the best view in the house for your last fight. I had the pleasure of being able to commentate that fight for Fury last fall. And, man, like, it almost played out. It was so poetic the way that it played out. Dustin Jacoby and I were on the call, and we said, man, like, Jordan is a mauler. He's just going to go out and make every second of this fight as uncomfortable as possible for Gabriel Macario. And then you did, and then once we saw the blood, I was like, don't be surprised if he goes and pulls some BJ Penn Savage shit out here and just starts licking the blood up. And what happened?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the primal side of myself comes out a little bit there when I get into that scrap. It's funny, you mentioning you being in the commentator booth, that I can remember one time having my chin underneath Gabriel's, or my head under his chin, and he had a real look of discomfort on his face, and I could hear the pleasure in your voice. I was right next to you, like one corner down, and I could hear the pleasure you were having, like calling that, and it gave me a good feeling in there, so that was a lot of fun.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad that you were able to hear a little bit of it in that way. I mean, it's it's a thankless job sometimes in commentary. You more times than not when you hear people talking back, it's some crazy person from the crowd or some wild dude in the comment section. But to actually hear it from someone who was in there and was like, man, like I enjoyed that. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
for sure. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to share that with you for sure.
Well, and that was your first fight back in Colorado for a while too.
Yeah, my previous 3 fights before that were all out of state. Um, you know, one time I got finished, couple bad decisions, and it was good to bounce back in my home state and put on a good dominant victory.
Definitely. This opponent that you have coming up it's a pretty noteworthy opponent. I mean that's something when they put the bill out, you got some recognition from some people. It's like, man, you're going up against Pat Sabatini, a recognized champion formerly of CFFC, that notably dodged you at one point, but you get the chance to finally put the work on him. What does that feel like to finally get that fight with someone who is a real name to build on as you move forward in your career?
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like all the pieces are falling into place. I fought for CFFC last May, and after I beat the brakes off Sergio Dabari, I was in the back with the matchmaker Arias, and I called for the fight with Pat Sabatini. I said I can beat that guy, and he's the champ, and that'd be a good stepping stone for my career. And Pat, being the champ, didn't want to take that risk at that time, which, while it's understandable, in my mind, it's a bit of a bitch move. But, that's neither here nor there, because now we're going to scrap, so we get to find out. But I'm thankful that I get this chance, because I wanted this fight for, over a year now, almost 2. So it's just all coming to fruition.
Definitely. As I started off, you're an OG. You're cut from a different cloth that they don't make the material for anymore. You have that just old school mentality of like, all right, you think that you have something to bring to the table? Well, there's a cage right there. Let's go figure it out. Let's go see who's best.
That's the way I feel about it. Yeah, I mean, we're fighters, man, and if you want to say you're the most dominant fighter, let's go find out, man. I'm always willing. I don't care if you're big, small, young, old, woman, man, doesn't fucking matter to me. I'll let you find out about yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And then adding to that, you've really kind of added some people into the equation and a part of the team leading up to this fight. Do you care to go into detail, with any of nutrition to any leadership, management, coaching decisions, anything like that?
Certainly. I mean, I've early in my career, I was a little complacent about the other things about fighting. I was very stubborn about just wanting to be strictly a fighter and who just trains and fights and works hard that way, which I still continue to do and will continue to do. But I matured a little bit and realized to make it to that next level, and a lot of it was watching my teammates do the same things and get to that level, like your Yusufs and other people like that, getting the recognition they absolutely deserve, but they're earning it because they're doing the extra things, which is having a good management team behind you. I just recently signed with Iridium Management, sports agency, so they, having them in my corner is going to be a big help, I think, moving forward and getting to the next level. And then I hired a nutritionist, the Melee Way, Tyler Minton. He helped me get ready for this fight. This is by far the best weight cut I've ever had. I'm real close, or not super close to weight, but much closer than I've ever been this far out, a week out, so that's a good feeling to know I'm not going to have to cut, 10 plus pounds of water on that day, which does get challenging, so I feel like I'm just taking the small steps to help the work that I've already put in, to just be that kind of foundation around what I've already built, and just continue to build upon that. And so yeah, we just got to continue to grow and evolve, and not be stubborn, and just try to find any avenue we can to push this thing further.
Definitely. do you feel just even just having, and even if it's placebo or the mental effect, like just having all of those, I guess, controllables, if you will, in place, like, hey, I have someone who's helping me with this, I have someone who is looking out for me here, I have all of that that is just supplementing what I've already built. Do you feel a little bit more peace of mind, more than just the weight cut side, but the entire encompassing picture?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been much of a guy who like worries about the little things too much, but it is good to have a team behind you. When you know you can lean on someone. Not that like you necessarily need to, but if you did need to, you know that you could. That's a good feeling, just knowing that there's people there for you who are concerned about, or at least care about your well-being and your career. You know.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that you told me one time that always just kind of was so profound, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is gonna peel the onion back at just what a true savage this guy is right here. So I really don't care if it's mine or theirs. I just like it when it's bloody.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, you have someone like that. Then on the opposite side, I think Yusuf was right there. He's like, fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the fuck out.
That was hilarious when he was cornering me in that last bloody massacre of a fight. And then as soon as the fight ended, I went to hug him. He wouldn't hug me. He just started wiping me down with the towel. And he was literally wiping me with the towel like the whole time I was getting announced, like till when the doctor was looking at me, until I was back in the back. Like he was just following me with a little towel, wiping me off. Which I appreciate the hell out of that guy. He's absolutely a part of this team, and he gives himself to this team, and him being there for me was definitely a confidence booster, and it just makes you feel good when your teammates are genuinely into the team, instead of just not there for themselves. So but yeah, I mean, I love a mean, nasty fight where people get bloody, and it's not a cuddle fest, and it's not football, it's not baseball, it's not even wrestling. Like, you're supposed to bleed, you're supposed to get hurt, you're supposed to have bumps and bruises. It's a collision of bodies, like if you don't feel a fight afterward, like, were you even in a fight, like, do you, I get it, like sometimes there's the quick finish and those are fun, but honestly I don't enjoy those as much as the war, because it's not a test. You want to test yourself. You want to go to that place of like, holy shit, I don't know what's going to happen next, but I do know that I'm a gangster and I'm going to keep plugging away, and then to come out on top of a situation like that, there's just not a better feeling on the planet. There's just not.
When you're going through those moments of uncertainty, what are the thoughts? Like, talk me through that process.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has that voice, right? That's like, it tries to hinder you. It's like, he's better, he's stronger, he's really good at jiu-jitsu, I can remember very vividly, actually, in my fight against Sergio Dabari, I took him down, and then he wiggled to an armbar real slick, and, in the moment, I thought to myself, I was like, wow, that's a good armbar. The fight could end right now. Like, if I were to concede and he finished this armbar, like, that would be all right. Like, he did a good job, and I'm like, but in that moment, I also thought, like, hell no, like, I'm not going out like that. I'm going to stuff this and get my arm back and start punching his teeth, which is exactly what happened. But, like, you always have that choice. The choice is always there. So, like, to deny that voice is there is just foolish, because then it'll sneak up on you and it'll take you by surprise, So you got to accept that voice, know it's there, know it's a part of you, but know that you are in control of it,
Which leads me to a follow-up on that, and, and some of the times that we've spent out on the mat or just talking, you've alluded to at times that, losing is a choice. Losing can be a choice.
Yeah, I mean, just like winning is a choice, you're gonna You know, I honestly, I don't really believe in calling someone a loser if they've lost a fight or lost anything. You know, you're a loser when you stop. I say this a lot. Like, if you fail 100 times and succeed once, all those failures were actually like the small stepping stones that got you to that success. Because otherwise, you never would have tasted that success. You would have tried once, failed once, and then stopped, and now you're a loser. And I just don't want to be that person. I don't want to be a loser, and I don't want the people I teach or am around to be losers, because it's a mentality thing. It's a choice. Like, you can choose to be beaten, choose to be defeated, or you can choose to rise up and go again, no matter what. You know, and it's not about success in my book. Like, I say this too. Like, success is not uh, a moment. You know, it's not an event. Success is a journey. You know, success is a lifestyle. Um, and I've had to find that out because I've had so many rocky moments in this career of mine, but it feels like success because I'm so happy with the life that I'm living, and I live every day with a smile on my face. I wake up and I jump out of bed and I fucking get to work, and it's what I want to do, and that's success in my book.
Definitely. And no coffee either, because I mean, I don't even want to fucking imagine what you would be like with not even espresso, nothing, a single cup of coffee.
Yeah, I can't touch caffeine really. Like, if I have a soda with dinner, I'll be up all night. So, yeah, you don't want to see me on a cup of coffee. I'll be bouncing off the walls. Like, I have a bad temper anyway, and like, you give me that much energy, I'm gonna say and do some things that I'll probably regret later. So,
Definitely. But tying that back in, you've also said something that has always stuck out to me that I really believe in that nobody has the right to hold you down. Like, you can pull yourself back.
mm-hmm.
Like, that just always like just makes me think like, stop being such a bitch.
Yeah.
Like, you have a choice to try to you may not get the outcome that you desire, but as long as you're continuing the fight, as long as you're not conceding that position, whether that is out there within a fight, a jiu-jitsu match, or in life,
Mm-hmm.
if you concede that position, that's when you've made that choice once you concede it.
Yeah, it's easy to play the victim, you know, and be like, things are hard for me. I didn't have a fair start, and, you know, this guy had a leg up on me, or whatever. And I know there are situations where it's tougher for people, but tougher situations create tougher people, you know. So if you let the situation break you, then it broke you, and you're a punk ass in my book. But if you go through that tough situation and you get out of it, then you're even better than the guy who started with a leg up on you, because now you're equal, but you traveled further, you know what I'm saying, to get to that equal point. So you've already got a better foundation underneath you, you know. So having a leg up in a way in my head is like actually having the reverse, you know. It's like holding you back a little bit, you know, because if you have, you know, if you're always eating off the silver spoon or whatever, you know, like, you don't have to fight for that meal, and you don't learn how to do that. So when the time comes, you're not ready for that challenge, you know. So if you've been through that already, though, on so many levels, then when it comes to you, it's just another day. You're like, yeah, I'll freaking rock the shit out of this and keep rolling, you know. So and, you know, not to say I've had the hardest life or anything, but I just truly believe in not playing the victim ever, and always just pushing forward. Like, you could be losing a fight for 40 or 14 minutes and 30 seconds, but you better be fighting your ass off for those last 30 seconds, you know, because you never know what's going to happen, you know. And maybe this guy's thinking, I've been beating this ass for 14 minutes, I can start to take my foot off the pedal, and that's when the big one comes for you, you know. So just always fighting, just always pushing. You know, it's easy to equate it to fighting because I'm a fighter, but that's life, you know. You gotta fight. You gotta fight for what you want.
Absolutely. And you've been a testament to that. You've literally lived that for the last 10 plus years, you know. I mean, there's not a lot of guys, or girls, I should say, out there that are willing to put forth the sacrifices that you've made in terms of just overall lifestyle, everything from, you know, top to bottom. You have literally lived a fighter life.
Yeah, I just don't know any other way to do something, you know, especially something I love so much. You know, I love fighting so much that it only makes sense to sweep away everything else and just be wholeheartedly into this. You know, when I started fighting, I had the best paying job of my life. You know, I was making close to 60 grand a year as a 23-year-old, and you know, it was comfortable, and I had an apartment downtown, and you know, I had money to do things and stuff like that, which was nice. But like, I quit that job and bought an RV and like tried not to work another day for a real job since then. You know, I've had to pick up some small jobs here and there, but like, to me, you only get one life to live, and then the fighting life is even shorter because you got to be a young man to do it. It's not an old man sport, you know. So I'm gonna get my time in while I can, and I'm gonna get every little piece out of it I can, and then when I'm done fighting, you know, I'm not done with MMA by any means, because this is my life now, and I plan to keep it that way forever.
You run a pretty solid wrestling program in addition to fighting. So you've seen, you know, multiple classes added to the schedule. You're teaching multiple classes, multiple days a week with wrestling. How does that feel to see that, you know, from when you first started on the coaching side, that it's grown to this point to where you have, you know, especially on Wednesday nights, your wrestling class is full. You know, you have a lot of people that show up for that. For something that at one point, like, not a lot of people really would show up for wrestling in comparison to maybe some of the other nights, just because wrestling is hard.
It's much harder than
But
anything really.
I feel like the way that it's taught, or the way that you present it, is done in a way that it makes you want to come back. Like, you don't get it twisted. Like, it's gonna break that ass off, but it's in a way that then makes you want to keep on coming back.
Yeah, I mean, I just try to, you know, instill some of the things in people that I believe, you know, and it's been very rewarding to see those things, you know, take hold in people and then believe in them, and then, you know, continue to come to my class and be consistent, and then my class grows because of that. And you know, it wasn't easy initially breaking the door down to being a coach here at Factory X, because Coach Mark Montoya is very serious about who he allows on that mat as an instructor. You know, even as a fighter, he's pretty strict about it, but even more so as an instructor. So, you know, I had to kind of prove myself for a few years there that, you know, I am capable of, you know, handing down good knowledge and building a class of followers a little bit, you know. So it's been extremely rewarding to, you know, first get Mark's approval and then get the consistency and the growth from my students.
Definitely. I mean, I'll say this: a lot of the stuff that I've learned from you is stuff that I use all the time out there training. Not that I'm shit, but it helps.
Yeah, I don't teach things that I don't use, so anything I teach, I know it works. You know, I'm not someone who's going to teach you something fancy. I'm not someone who fights fancy. You know, I'm going to teach you basics, and I'm going to make you drill them a lot, and I'm going to make you real good at them, and you know, I'm also going to teach you how to be me. That's one of I always say that's probably my best coaching aspect, is I can teach someone how to light a fire under their ass and freaking burn someone else alive, you know. So yeah, that's really what I try to do more than anything, is just make people believe in themselves.
You know, one specific example that I can point out for that one, I don't remember exactly what sequence of movement or whatever series it was that we were going through, but there was one time where I believe it was James and I were like, yeah, I mean, you're doing it okay, but you gotta be mean with it. Like, there's no nice way to do this. And then there was another time where he said, when you're in a match or if you're in a fight, like, are you gonna do this like a pussy?
No, you're gonna try to kill him, right?
Then don't fucking drill it like a pussy.
I mean, you're gonna make each other better like that. You know, if you drill it real and they feel it real, you know, you're gonna be ready for the real stuff. So
Yeah.
that's the life I live, and that's what I try to instill in my students.
I think everybody appreciates it though, you know, and
Some do.
the ones who, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Some do. Yeah. I'll keep it nice.
Yeah.
But you know, I could understand where it's not for everybody though too. At the same time,
Yeah, which
you know,
I understand.
and even your jujitsu is nasty in that regard. Like, you know, like I always tell people like that are new that come in, like just look at the polarity of some of the examples that are out there in some people's games where you have someone like, you know, like Brandon Royval who is like poetic with what he does. Like, I mean, that's like, you know, an artist out there with a paintbrush just flowing
Absolutely.
around. And then on the opposite side of the coin, you have someone whose game is like yours and very high level still, but you're just going to smash and bruise somebody every step along the way.
Yeah, I mean, why not take that opportunity to just make their life uncomfortable, you know? To me, when I make someone uncomfortable, it makes the submission that much easier. So, you know, a lot of times people give me submissions to get me off of them. It's happened in fights, and it's happened very frequently in practice. But, yeah, I mean, I'll force you into giving something up because you're just so sick of the pain, you know?
Definitely. You know, Jordan, we've covered a lot so far. Is there anything that we haven't touched on yet that you might want to get out there? Friends, family, teammates, supporters, anybody?
No, I mean, I guess the biggest change in my life is I got married this summer, and I got to give a big shout out to my wife, Lindsay. You know, without her, I would definitely not be in the position that I'm in. She actually deserves more credit for my growth than I do, I think, because she holds me to a much higher standard than I ever held myself. And it's really helped me grow inside and outside of the cage. So, you know, Lindsay, I love you, and just thank you very much.
Awesome. Shout out to Lindsay. Lindsay is also a badass out there on the mat and one of our coaches here for a competition class.
Yeah.
So, real quick, one last time, Jordan, will you let everybody know the details for your fight and where they can follow you?
September 17th, UFC Fight Pass, baby, co-main event. I'm fighting Pat Sabatini. We're going to put on a show for everybody. I'm sure you'll enjoy this fight. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Jordan Titoni. I look forward to putting on a show for everybody. I promise you won't want to miss it.
Get ready for Pure Violence next week. I cannot wait to see you out there in the cage. My man, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Definitely. This is Jordan Kurtz with comments from the Peanut Gallery as well as the MMA Plug powered by DenverSportsBetting.com. Also, check us out at Mile High Sports and Mile High Sports Radio. See you next time.